Imagine waking up one morning and finding that the oceans are gone. No crashing waves, no endless horizon of water, just miles upon miles of empty seabed, stretching out like a desert. The Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, even the tiny Arctic. All of them have vanished, leaving behind vast canyons, jagged ridges, and cracked mud plains where life once thrived. The first thing you'd notice is the silence. Beaches would no longer echo with the rhythm of tides, and harbors would stand empty. Ships stranded on mud flats. Coastal cities would suddenly find themselves sitting on cliffs hundreds of meters above the new floor, looking down into barren chasms. What once defined our planet, its oceans, would be gone in an instant. The disappearance of the oceans would unleash immediate chaos. Climate would collapse almost overnight. Oceans act as Earth's thermal regulator, absorbing heat in the day and releasing it at night. Without them, daytime temperatures would spike to scorching highs, while nights would plunge into freezing cold. Deserts would spread rapidly, and fertile farmlands would wither under the stress of a world without water. Rainfall would vanish too. With no ocean to evaporate from, the water cycle would grind to a halt. Rivers would dry up, lakes would shrink, and entire regions would fall into permanent drought. Cities that depend on rainfall and rivers fed by the ocean, which is basically all of them, would face total collapse. Agriculture would become nearly impossible, and billions of people would face starvation. The ecosystems of Earth would unravel. Marine life, which makes up the majority of species on the planet, would die out almost instantly. Coral reefs, whales, plankton, fish, gone. The knock-on effect would be catastrophic because plankton alone produces half of Earth's oxygen. With their extinction, the air would grow thinner and harder to breathe. Forests, already stressed, would die without rainfall, accelerating oxygen loss further. Within years, humanity could find itself gasping for every breath. And it's not just biology that would change. Geography itself would look alien. The ocean floor is full of mountains taller than Everest, valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon, and ridges that span continents. With the water gone, these hidden landscapes would be exposed, turning the Earth into a planet of jagged scars and endless basins. The sight would be breathtaking, but also terrifying, because those basins wouldn't stay empty for long. Without the oceans pressing down, Earth's crust would shift. Tectonic plates would adjust violently, triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions around the globe. Giant fault lines buried beneath the sea would rupture. Entire continents might tilt or fracture under the imbalance. Meanwhile, the searing heat of the sun, no longer buffered by reflective ocean surfaces, would cook the exposed seabed. Dust storms of dried salt and sand would rise into the sky, shrouding the planet in a toxic haze. Weather would become brutal and unpredictable. Superstorms would form from the little moisture left in the atmosphere, smashing across barren continents. Winds would sweep unhindered across dry seabeds, carrying sand and debris for thousands of kilometers. The planet's once blue appearance would fade to brown and gray, a dry husk spinning through space. For humanity, survival would depend on technology. Desalination plants and reservoirs would be useless with no seas to draw from. Underground water sources might sustain some areas for a time, but they too would run out. Massive domed cities with artificial atmospheres might become the last refuges for people. Others might try to migrate toward the few remaining pockets of moisture, deep caves, polar ice, or artificially maintained habitats. And what about the cause? To evaporate all the oceans, you'd need an unimaginable burst of energy, equivalent to millions of years of sunlight delivered all at once, or a cosmic-scale disaster, a nearby supernova, a collision with a star-sized object, or some unknown physics event would be required. In other words, if the oceans vanish, it's not just a climate crisis, it's the end of Earth as we know it. So, what if all the oceans suddenly evaporated? The Earth would no longer be the blue planet. Life as we know it would collapse in days, civilization in weeks, and the planet itself would become an alien wasteland. And the cruel irony is this: the oceans don't just shape our geography. They are the reason we exist. Without them, Earth is just another dry, lifeless rock adrift in space.